Smiley from the Energy Boutique with your energy and ascension forecast for Sunday, January 19th to Saturday, January 25th. Okay, so last week we were wrapping up Capricorn season, and of course we kicked that week off with a huge bang with the full moon in Cancer, full moon in her rulership on a Monday that she rules over, and of course it heightened all of our senses. It really intensified a lot of emotions, especially in the parameters of kind of having enough. Kind of seeing where it is that, guess what, we're not doing this anymore, and therefore new boundaries need to be built and created in order to protect what it is that, again, we've already built and created within ourselves. This was definitely illumination to where it is that our emotional inner realm needs a little bit more support, a little bit more safety, security, stability. And of course, where it is that emotionally speaking, we have a little bit more inner child work to do, shadow work to do. And speaking of shadow work, I'm going to talk about that in just a second. However, what we kind of got illuminated to is where it is that things have to change. Of course, Capricorn energy, Cancer energy, very attached to the past, very connected to tradition, very connected to keeping things the same old, same old. However, realizing that we've been praying for change, it doesn't really make sense to continue to overly attach ourselves to trying to keep things the same when, of course, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result than the ones that we've already got is the true definition of insanity. So, of course, that was a full illumination of hidden information and details rising to the surface of our breaking points, of our boundaries, of more healing work to do, and where it is that we got to get out of our own damn way in order to create the change and the transformation that, of course, we've been praying for. So it was a very interesting week to kind of wrap up Capricorn season. And again, setting the tone for Aquarius season that, of course, is popping off here on the 19th. When we move into this Aquarius energy, we're going to have information overload. So it's lucky for us that the only other thing that we got going on this week is on the 21st, we have the last quarter moon popping off in Scorpio energy. So for those of you that have your manifesting moon guide available to you, this is going to be the semi-last aspect in that particular guide because we're closing the door. We're wrapping things up under this Capricorn lunar cycle. And in about a week's time, we will be moving into the new moon in Aquarius lunar cycle. That is definitely going to provide us with the information, the details, the clarity that we've been lacking. So other than that, this is going to be the last week that Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, will be in Capricorn energy. We're going to be shifting into Aquarius energy here on the 27th. And so for those of you that have been praying for insight, praying for clarity, you're going to want to put your mental helmet on because you're going to be gaining so much information and details the minute that we move into Aquarius season that when Mercury moves into Aquarius, your head may actually explode. Now, do I mean physically explode? Well, hopefully not. But at the same time, your energetic mind, your mental plane, the rapid processing of new awarenesses, new levels of consciousness, yep, definitely going to make you feel like your head is under a pressurized system. We'll talk about that in just a second. But before I get ranting and raving, there's a couple of things on my homework list that I would like to address and check off. First of all, I want to start with the thank yous. I want to thank you for being here, for liking, for sharing, for commenting, for dropping beautiful emojis in the comment section below. And of course, that is directed to my YouTube fam. I am very excited to see that my numbers on YouTube are actually dropping and my numbers on Spotify and iTunes and Patreon are rising. Now, of course, I shouldn't be super excited to watch my YouTube channel die. However, for what YouTube's been doing to me, it's kind of like this little petty revenge that I got going on here. And I really don't care where you find me, where you're comfortable at. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the engagement on whatever platform you are most comfortable on. And let me also just say that I want to thank those of you that have jumped over to my website and subscribed to the Energy Guide, mostly because, of course, I'm trying to create content that will keep you ahead of the game. And I'm releasing, a couple of days ahead of time so that you can see the energies that we're about to move into. It's a great reference, a rundown, if you will, to kind of check in with that energy guide, see the ascension symptoms that will likely be popping off for the day, the major energy events that, of course, are going to have a ripple effect on us throughout the day. I'm hoping to grow that particular energy guide for a couple of reasons, but mostly, heads up, moving through Aquarius season, we're going to see a lot of disruption on social media, on, different apps, different ways of communicating with each other. And I just think that, providing a little bit of my own little, let's call it safe haven on the interweb, in case any of those things happen, is just a reassurance that I felt I needed to bring to life. And so again, going to welcome you to jump on over. It's free to subscribe. And of course, there is going to be a cute little piece of Energy Boutique kind of growing and expanding on the interweb over the course of what I have planned this year, if I can get my procrastinating ass in order and in gear. But one of the things that I've been able to do in a short amount of time is to bring over all of the content that I've been sharing on Patreon onto my website. Now, many of you have said, you were interested in listening to the rants that I put out, or interested in some of the astro classes that I've created, but you didn't want to jump over to Patreon. And for whatever reason, everybody has their, reasons for not wanting to take on another app. I get it. However, I brought all the content over to my website. So for those of you that are solely interested in, the monthly energy guides or the moon guides, there's a membership for that. If you just want to listen to me rant and rave, there's a membership for that. If you just want the astro class, there is a membership for that. And of course, if you want to bundle it all together and save yourself some money, there's a membership for that too. So I'm hoping that, again, when you build it, that they will come. I hope that that's a thing, because it did take a little bit of time, a little bit of work. And so for those of you that wanted access to all of that content and resources, it is available to you whenever you decide that you want to be doing the work. There's one new thing that I wanted to kind of present to you guys here this week. So I do the monthly zodiac energy guides, and I write them specifically tailored for the individual zodiac signs. And although that is great, and although for some people that is all of the information, guidance, and assistance they need to kind of maneuver through the energy shifts of the month, it does feel like some people want personalized calendars, personalized monthly guides. And I used to do a whole, VIP subscription where I had my monthly subscribers, but unfortunately, what I'm going through with my voice here made me have to kind of cancel that whole service and unfortunately move on to different things. And yes, I definitely took a hit financially for that, but I'm realizing that a lot of people that were, really interested on having those monthly guides, they're kind of left out in the cold as well. So I've been thinking about it. I am going to launch a service where if you do want personalized monthly e-guides, I am going to be offering that. It is going to be specific to your birth chart. It is going to cover all of the, the astrology events that I talk about in the normal e-guides. But of course, it's going to be personalized to you. We're going to highlight, whether you have particular astrology transits specific to you taking place. So of course, if that is a service that you are interested in, I'm definitely going to encourage you to take advantage of that, because there is going to be limited spots. Of course, it is going to take a little bit of time for me to get those together, but it is in a written form, which is going to help me save my voice. That was the whole point of me discontinuing the monthly subscribers, and hopefully provide the guidance that many people feel that they need in order to kind of navigate the highs, the lows, the everything in between. So I definitely wanted to point that out. And of course, if you're interested on kind of booking a one-on-one session, there are appointments available through my booking calendar. Snag a spot ASAP. Okay, so with all that kind of funny homework out of the way, let's talk about what the F is going on. So first of all, a lot of things happened this week that I wasn't really sure that I wanted to talk about, but they're so entertaining. I can't help but talk about it. So first of all, this whole TikTok ban is just absolutely hilarious. And then everybody, of course, specifically the Americans, jumping over on Red Note, which of course is the Chinese app. And that is just like a completely like middle finger FU to the US government. Although, they fell into another trap because, of course, that's what that particular government wanted. And now y'all are kind of connected to an app that is going to backfire. That's besides the point. What I think the beautiful thing is that, first of all, there's an element of rebellion. That, of course, is the true Aquarius way. I think it's very interesting because it is illuminating and pushing new levels of awareness and consciousness in a huge group of people because, first of all, the Americans are realizing that the American dream that they were sold is actually a nightmare. And they're realizing that the Chinese population actually isn't, quote unquote, enemy number one. They're realizing that, guess what? We actually over here in North America live in a corporation, not an actual country. And that realistically speaking, China knows what's up. They're very advanced, not only in their technology, but just in the way that they live. And I think it's very interesting because, of course, Capricorn season is tradition. We're living in a capitalistic nature. The Aquarius energy is going to highlight where it is that the limitations, the restrictions of that particular foundation and structure of Capricorn energy is too rigid, is too much like a prison, and therefore progress and innovation is needed. But of course, how are you supposed to get a whole group of people on the same page where progress and innovation is needed when they don't even know that they are so behind in the time, so to speak, that, they find that this is semi-normal. We're realizing now that the state in which North Americans are currently living in, and specifically I'm talking about Americans, I'm not trying to leave out Canadians because Lord knows we have our own problems. But at the same time, this is what Aquarius energy is about. It's about insight. It's about seeing different perspectives. It's about seeing different groups of people from a different lens. It is about understanding where it is that the restrictions and the limitations that we've been very comfortable living under because we weren't aware of them are now so in our face that we can't unknow them. And that changes the way that we see the world, the way we see our lives, the way we see ourselves as part of our lives and of the greater, grander world. And so I think this is hilarious. I think that this is so freaking entertaining because this is astrology in real time. Having that Capricorn, the tail end of Capricorn season. And again, side note here, this is the first time in 16 years that we didn't have Pluto, the great transformer, in this Capricorn energy. This is the first time in 16 years that we are going to have an Aquarius season with Pluto rooted very much in Aquarius energy. This is a beautiful thing because it's the change and transformation of what is needed in order for us to grow and evolve. This is like revolutionary energy at its finest. And yes, I know you're going to say, well, it's only social media. Well, it's greater than that. And if you don't see how it's greater than that, then I don't know how to explain it to you. But the Capricorn season, the tail end of this, is highlighting where it is that we were very limited in our wisdom, in our knowledge about the rest of the world. And again, the American dream now kind of being realized as the American dream, as in the nightmare stage of that, is really illuminating to where it is that people are now going to really kind of have this rebellion type of energy within them because we understand where it is that we got fooled, where we bought the dream that they were selling. And again, it turned out to be a horrific nightmare. So although I do see that there is a potentiality here for this particular, let's call it awareness, to take a bad turn, and I'm not going to get into that right now, but again, does have the potentiality to take a very, very harsh, bad turn. At this stage of the game, I think it is absolutely a beautiful thing that, specifically North Americans are kind of waking up and kind of understanding that this beautiful life, this beautiful dream that we were sold and that we willingly bought, it ain't so cute no more. And in comparison to how other people in the world are living, it is definitely a reality check. And that reality check comes pretty harsh. And we have to understand that Saturn, the Lord of Karma, who is the one who gives us the reality checks, the bitch slaps of truth, if you will, not only the sole ruler over Capricorn energy and a little bit, militant over that Capricorn energy, but is also the traditional ruler of Aquarius energy. Yes, Uranus, the great awakener, the rebellion, the trigger, the activation for spontaneous and progressive change, is the modern day ruler over Aquarius energy, but Saturn is still in the background. Saturn is currently in Pisces energy, wrapping up a 30-year cycle, wrapping up this chapter where we have to dissolve the foundations and structures of the old world, where we're dissolving the old, let's call it, false belief system. And if this isn't a true example of living under a false belief system, I don't know what is. So for me, again, I like to sit back and just watch. I'm an observer. I think what happens on the greater, grander global stage is absolutely the most entertaining thing, specifically when it aligns with the astrology that we're currently going through. And although it is starting with that social media trend, it is just the beginning of what is going to be a very mind-blowing Aquarius season. So let's just talk about the fact, and I have to be cryptic with this one, so I'm going to ask you to put your energetic ears on. SpaceX, that little quote-unquote explosion that happened, that was not SpaceX, okay? I'm winking, I'm hinting, I'm nudging. If you take a look at quote-unquote what everybody's been waiting for as far as disclosure goes, and I know that there's been a, let's call it, tricky alignment of this inauguration also / disclosure, like everybody's been building up this energy. I think it is very quote-unquote coincidental, if you believe in such things, that SpaceX blew up and that the trail of energy that particular debris left in the sky, take a look at that. Trust your gut, trust your intuition, because when I seen it, everything in my body, everything in my head space, everything in my heart space, everything in my energy told me that that was not a blown up rocket. Okay, that was not space debris. That was something very, very different. We know that since the beginning of this year, all people can talk about are the damn things in the sky. And yet when something actually legitimately is taking place in the sky, because everybody quote unquote says, oh no, that's just a rocket blowing up, that's just SpaceX, don't pay any attention to that. Suddenly everybody just takes that at face value. Take a look at that footage. Trust the energy that is coursing through your body when you watch that versus some of the videos of those things floating around in the sky. You should be in touch with yourself, in your higher self, in your soul, in your spirit, to a degree at this particular juncture that you don't need to hear the government tell you what is real and what isn't. You don't need a business or a corporation to tell you what you are looking at. You should be able to feel it. Okay. So the fact that that particular quote unquote explosion took place as everybody is waiting for like official dialogues coming from government, who trusts the government anyways, y'all sitting around waiting for the government to tell you what you already quote unquote know. Y'all gonna believe that? Personally, we have to stop believing these government bodies. We have to stop believing anything outside of ourselves. You have to listen to your gut. You have to feel the way that your body makes you feel when you are observing certain situations and circumstances out in the world. That's how you're going to know the truth. And so again, tail end of Capricorn season, as we're entering into Aquarius season, and let me also just say, Aquarius energy is very connected to science and technology and space exploration and aliens and just weird, out of the box, out of the norm shit. So to have all of these things pop off here this week, that is really kind of creating this foundation of expectation to have a quote unquote official body tell you what is going on in the world. We don't need that. What we have is eyeballs in our head, and the most, I'm going to call it, intelligent operating system that we have in our bodies to not only observe things that are taking place in this physical realm, but to understand it on a spiritual and energetic level. And so I think that that is a major event that we are totally not giving enough time, energy, and effort, attention to, that we are, as we go through Aquarius season, going to be looking back on this particular event and being like, oh, I totally see why that happened when it did. I totally see why some of the things that are happening now were highly dependent on that domino, that first domino effect being knocked over. This is all connected. It is all going to lead up to a very, very important event in our history. So, of course, Aquarius season, because Uranus is in charge here, we have to expect the unexpected. And with that energy, and there's a lot of energy, it is an air sign and it's operating from the highest realms of intelligence. The energy shift is going to be so dramatic, so intense, that some people are going to be losing their minds. Now, you've been listening to me for any amount of time, you would know that I've been talking about mental health issues. I've been talking about the spiritual psychosis. I've been talking about the inability for normal ass people to be able to be exposed to some of the information, wisdom, and knowledge that, of course, many of us are craving at this time because they can't handle it. They can't compute it. They're not operating at a level of awareness and consciousness that could even comprehend what a lot of information is going to come out about, and they're not going to be able to process it. And I'm not even talking about just aliens, okay? I'm talking about like quantum mechanics. I'm talking about quantum entanglement. I'm talking about the understanding of the multiverse and multi-dimensions, and understanding that like the telepathy tapes that are now out is a little tiny bit of an understanding, a little bit of a glimmer, if you will, that there is an unseen world that is much stronger than the physical world in which we're living in. And that science is about to start, I'm going to say, proving and disproving a lot of the information, wisdom, and knowledge that we thought we knew or that we thought we wanted to know. And a lot of people aren't going to be able to handle it. The energy that is going to be coming in and surging with this Aquarius season is going to have major, major repercussions, not only on the mental health of people, but on the central nervous system of people. There's going to be a high vibratory energy that we're all going to have to adapt to. And for those of us that have been doing the work and moving through the ascension process by doing the work, we're going to be okay. But you're going to notice a lot more people having, let's call them, neuro symptoms. Okay, so yes, central nervous system, but in relation to the head. When you have a lot of electricity coursing through your body, if it is a happy, healthy place in your physical vessel, that is just going to amp up the cyclic nature of the information processing that is constantly going on in your body through your blood, activating new neural pathways, activating new perspectives, activating new narratives. That is all the synapses popping off in your brain, creating new understandings, and therefore bringing new electrical charges into your physical body, making it more, I'm going to say, easier for you to evolve, for you to develop a bigger, broader sense, a bigger, broader perspective, a bigger, broader understanding, if you will, of the world around you. For those that are not cultivating a healthy body system, let's call it clogged up vessel, y'all are going to have some hard times. There's going to be shocks. There's going to be tremors. You're going to have huge surges of anxiety. You're not going to know what to do with it. And because there is a lot more electricity in the air, and again, side note, a lot of the reason for these, let's call them, mysterious floaty things in the sky is to create more electricity in the air. And I'm hoping that you're piecing this together here. Electricity in the air with what we got built in our physical form structurally with, let's call it, Wi-Fi connections and other connection as well. There is a reason why they are trying to disrupt the natural electrical grid that overlays the earth. And again, a lot of the infiltration of a lot of these floaty things in the sky are to disrupt the natural grid and create their own grid. And that is a problem. When they're creating their own grid, it's talking to, communicating with a lot of the things that they have built on the ground that we as dumbass humans have willingly integrated into our lives and into our homes. This is a recipe for disaster. And we are going to see a lot of glitches, not only in time, not only in our physical realms, not only in our, let's call it our own thoughts, our own ability to think, but we're going to see a lot of glitches in their own plans. Meaning a lot of their own plans are going to backfire on them because there is a magical, let's call it divinely scripted force that is overseeing all of the effery taking place on the earth plane right now. And they have no problem interrupting some plans that they can't allow to actually go through with. And so there is, if you're not aware of this, spiritual energetic war that we're all a part of by now, you're going to find out the hard way through Aquarius season. So yeah, we're all going to have this realization of new levels of electricity, not only in the air, but coursing through our physical forms, coursing through our bodies. Again, yes, static electricity is a thing, but there are going to be like shocks and tremors on the inside of your body. There's going to be little quivers, little zaps, if you will, where it does feel like, again, maybe emotionally, it may feel like you're running a little bit manic because, again, you're not used to channeling that much energy through your physical form. This is why it's so important to keep that body clean, to keep your energy channels, your meridians clean. Again, last week and previous week, we were talking about the lymphatic system and needing to do a detox in order to make sure that that particular system in our body was working at a high level of functionality. And this is why, because when that electricity starts going through your body and you have not been doing the work in order to keep yourself healthy and those channels of detox open, you're going to be kind of all jammed up and you're not going to feel the greatest. With that being said, though, there is a lot of dryness that will be taking over the physical body due to the overwhelming shift in the air, the electricity in the air, and just dry air on air. And so although, the dryness is going to have a major impact on our skin, so again, our oils are changing. We are going through a recalibration in our physical bodies due to the upgrade in our sensory system that we just received. The oils in our bodies are changing. Even more than that, because this is Aquarius season, because this does affect the crown, because this is about allowing more electricity to go through our body, our hair, which acts as an antenna, which does pick up on the subtle energies of the unseen world, our hair will be changing as well. So if you normally have like thick, oily hair, you're probably going to see some thinning. You're probably going to see that oil kind of dry up, and it's going to, again, create static electricity. It could go the other way, but I don't see it that way. I just see that there's an overwhelming amount of air and electricity. And that to me just screams that, of course, our crown, the information that we're bringing in, the connection with the collective that we have is kind of being upgraded to a new electrical voltage, if you will. And of course, that is going to have a major change, I'd say, to our hair first and foremost, but the buzzing in our head, the pressure in our head, there's going to feel like there's a vibration going on that we just can't kind of put our finger on, and you may actually feel it if you put your teeth together, that there is this buzzing, this humming that is taking place in your headspace, and the vibration of the new electricity that is coursing through your body. You may actually have some auditory experiences where you hear this high-pitched, high level of sound that you could walk around your house and, stick your head up to, let's call it the refrigerator, to see if it is that is creating that high vibration frequency, and it will not be identified. You are going to be able to hear electricity. I've been able to hear electricity for my whole life. People literally do not believe me. I can hear electricity. For those of you that are used to hearing electricity, the volume is going to be turned all the way up. And for those of you that have never heard electricity, shit's going to get real. It's going to be very, very interesting. What I would also want to say to that is that we are going through this shedding process, meaning that, if you look at Capricorn energy as the physical body, the old world, the structure, the foundation of what once was, the Aquarius energy is like total renovation of self. And so we're going to not only see that hair may be changing and thinning due to the electricity coming into the crown, but we're also shedding our old memories, our old structure, and therefore losing hair. This could also be, skin fragments that you are, maybe you have a rash, maybe you have dry skin. Maybe there's an element where you're just, you're peeling your skin back on your fingers or what have you. That is still kind of considered part of this shedding process. Your nails are going to be changing as well. The nail beds are going to be changing. The brittleness of your nails are likely going to be changing as well, because again, these are all, I'm going to say, measures of holding on to who it is that we've been, the memories, the energy of who it is that we've had to be. When I say to you that again, we're in the year of 9. This is time to wrap up the old world and therefore the old version of self. That has a huge impact on our physicality as well. And so we're going to start seeing major changes in our physical body because, again, it's like just like a snake kind of sheds its skin. We're going through a similar process in order to, again, strengthen the vessel, the physical form that needs to be strengthened in order to house the new electricity, the new energy that is coming into our physical forms. And for some people, pushing you to the absolute edge of things. And for other people, just kind of illuminating how much work that you've actually been able to do within yourself to release that emotional pain and trauma trapped in your cellular memory, because the energy is going to be able to flow. And because of that, and again, there is this vibration, this frequency that is charging through our bodies. It's going to feel like, again, you're going to be looking for a source, a real reason of why you feel this hum, this vibration in your body. And you're not going to be able to find it because, of course, it's all energetic in nature. I want to talk about the fact that there is, again, a level of dryness. With that level of dryness, we're going to see another shift in our eyes. So our eyes have definitely been one of the main ascension symptoms throughout the course of, I'm going to say, at least prior to Christmas. And a lot of that is because, again, we're watching the old world fall. We're watching the new earth essentially try to manifest. We're not there yet. And because we were kind of, I'm going to say, going out of our way to avoid seeing things in the way that they actually were appearing, and instead we just wanted to live in La Land and see things in the way that we wanted to see them, we were having a major impact on our eyes. This week, I feel like because of the dryness, because of the electricity, first of all, everything is going to seem way brighter than it normally is. Like I'm going to say the sun, but we all know that that's not the original, sun source. That seems to be brighter. Colors seem to be more vibrant. There's just this, I'm going to say, somebody turned the volume all the way up and forgot to kind of, increase it in manageable levels. They just went balls to the walls and turned it all the way up, max level. And so our eyes are going to be drying out. It's going to feel very dry, very itchy. But even more than that, there could even be like a rash around your eyes, or like the skin around your eyes. Maybe your eyelids are puffy. Maybe they're like flaking a little bit. Maybe your eyelashes themselves are falling out at, a greater rate than normal. Maybe there's an itchiness around your eyelash lid. There is just this overwhelming, I'm going to call it, discomfort that, of course, is coming alive and well, manifesting in our eyes, because we're literally watching things change at such a rapid rate at this particular juncture, and we don't know what to think of it because we don't have time to process it. We're just in observation mode, which, again, Aquarius season is all about, that there's going to be a major impact to the physical eyeball, to the overall experience that we have around our eyes and our eyelashes. I feel like Last week, we talked about how there was like this coughing, this rattling, if you will, in our chest space. And again, a lot of that got triggered and activated under that full moon in Cancer that, of course, needed to highlight for us the heart activations that we need to kind of be aware of and to essentially allow the buried emotion from some of the pain and trauma to rise to the surface. And so many people have had that cough. Many people have felt that rattle in their lungs. Now, granted, some people, again, if you're not taking the best care of yourself, some people did watch that manifest into, pneumonia or, certain respiratory infections as such. Not all Ascension symptoms are going to manifest in a medical illness. So we do have to be very, aware of what we're taking action on as far as pursuing medical health and medical guidance. But at the same time, that was the release of the phlegm that we 100% need to get out of our bodies. When we move into Aquarius season, I think that there's going to be such pressure on the headspace that many of us are going to have a lot of sinus pain, sinus pressure. Hopefully it doesn't manifest into an infection. I know some people have already been complaining about that sinus pressure and again, coming down with an actual infection. But this is, first of all, a pressurized system because our third eye is waking up. Secondly, we're rewriting neural pathways at an accelerated rate throughout Aquarius season. And even more than that, this is time where there is so much air energy and it is so dry to dry up that excess phlegm. And that phlegm, that mucus, if you will, is holding on to a lot of, let's call it, emotional congestion that we need to get out of our bodies. And so whether that's coming out of your nose or it's coming out of your lungs or even other orifices, let's not get, TMI here. However, there is this purging taking place because, of course, we got to get the phlegm out. We have to get all of this mucus under control. And there's no better way to dry up mucus than to bring in an air season and give us the electricity coursing through our bodies in order to evaporate a lot of those stuck emotions. So we're definitely going to see a shift in our headspace, in our sinus pain, and we're going to have this want, need, and desire to be constantly clearing the throat. That is an indicator of postnasal drip. That is an indicator of like congestion, not only in your upper respiratory system, but also in the headspace. There is going to be this, again, muffled. It's not like the want that I talked about last week. It's not that in our ear. It's just that there is such piercing high vibrations and frequencies that we're audibly now able to actually receive in our sensory system that it's going to feel like our ear is like wide open, volume all the way up, hearing these sounds. And then for some reason, it feels like it just gets shut off, muffled, and the silence is absolutely muffled and deadening. And so we're going to have to kind of find a good balance spot in between those particular energies as we get going here. But one thing that I would say is that one thing that is going to resolve, hopefully sooner and quicker than later, is our bubble guts. So, last week and specifically through Capricorn season, because there is this overly attachment to the past where we're very rigid in our actions, where we're not really in touch with our emotions, there was this repression, if you will, in our guts. Many people had constipation as of late. Many people had that breakthrough in that constipation cycle with that full moon in Cancer, which of course was a release. It was a purge. We were trying to let go of the past, but many of us still holding on to the crap, literally and figuratively speaking. And so I feel like because Aquarius season does kind of lend us this ability to emotionally detach from situations and circumstances so that we can act as the observer. We can kind of be the third party observing ourselves and observing our lives without this emotional motivation to have things work out in the way that we're emotionally attached to, and instead just see the inner workings of our mind and see the inner workings of, all the collective kind of working together and seeing where new insights, quote unquote, disclosure. I think it's funny that everybody hears disclosure and thinks about aliens because there's so much more information that needs to be disclosed to us before we even start talking about aliens. And I think that a lot of truth, a lot of information, a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge is definitely going to be coming at us at an accelerated rate through this Aquarius season. And may I also just remind you that, Aquarius season sits between Capricorn energy, the earth realm of trying to keep all the systems and structures running in the way in which they always did, and Pisces season, which is removing what isn't working in order for us to intuitively be downloaded and inspired with what could work better. And so the Aquarius energy sits in between those two signs and really pressurizes our headspace for us to see things from a different perspective, see things from a different lens. We bring all of this information in. It is going to be information overload. And then when we dive into Pisces season, we dive into the emotions that we're not necessarily feeling throughout this Aquarius season to kind of sort out what needs to stay and what needs to go. And of course, we do that in preparation for the new astrological year to be popping off, our reset, if you will, a renewal that takes place once we move into Aries season. So it's a whole process. And I think the one thing that is going to make this particular Aquarius season stand out more than any of the other previous Aquarius seasons is the fact that, again, Mr. Pluto, the great transformer, through the death and destruction process, in order for a great renewal and resurrection to actually take place, he is very much rooted in this Aquarius energy, and he is not dipping back into that Capricorn energy any longer. We are in the essential, let's call it, physical reality of the old world while we are rapidly processing the changes, the progress, the innovation, the transformations needed in order to get us out of this funk. We're not able to actually physically do anything about it yet because we have to get a plan, a path, a strategy together. And of course, there's a lot of removal, a lot of purging, a lot of releasing needed. That's going to come in Pisces season. And then, of course, we get a new fire, spark, and flame to kind of work with collectively and individually speaking when we move into Aries season. And then Taurus season is essentially where we start taking those slow, steady steps in a new path, in a new direction. So we still have a lot of time between, the old world ending and the new earth beginning. We still have a lot of time for that to happen. And right now, all of the energy is being focused on us getting a grip in our mental plane. That's what the Aquarius energy is going to be about. And so this is going to have a major effect on our dream state. First of all, sleep, I should say. Sleep is going to be very sporadic, meaning that, you could be recharged in 4 hours when you normally need 6. If you are lucky enough to sleep, your sleep will probably be disrupted and it'll be a lot shorter than what you're normally used to. If you are lucky enough to sleep and you find yourself in a dream state, look out because shit's going to be super hella weird. Aquarius energy is when we start aligning with the higher realms of intelligence in our dream state and in our astral realms, and we start receiving huge amounts of guidance and insight on what we need to do in our own lives and what the collective is going to be doing in order to kind of pivot and really start aligning with the new path. So the transition of Capricorn season into Aquarius season is going to be a little bit of an adjustment as far as our dreamscaping is involved. But at the end of the day, we are going to be receiving huge amounts of download, insight, and information in the sleep state. And again, many of us may not be sleeping the way that we want to be sleeping through Aquarius season because, again, the buzzing, the information, the rapid processing is so much that sometimes our physical bodies can't find that calmness, that stillness to actually rest. But nonetheless, we are going to be just having pop-offs, epiphanies, light bulb moments to the extent of it is going to stick with you when you wake up. Now, if you're not lucky enough to sleep, don't worry. It's not like you're going to miss out. You are going to be receiving that insight, those downloads in your waking state. And so the Aquarius energy oftentimes is very mad scientist in nature, meaning you could be staring off in an absolute daze and somebody, observing you could think that you're off in la la land when realistically you're channeling the higher realms of the dimensions, the higher dimensions of intelligence. and really kind of receiving a lot of powerful information that you're going to be needing to fully process in your mental plane in order to expand your knowledge, your wisdom, the perspective, the understanding that you currently have, not only about yourself, but the people of the world around you. So it's going to be a highly charged, let's call it, month. I feel that, yes, shit's about to get weird in a lot of different ways. And if you're one of those people that are going to say, well, shit's been weird. Yeah, you're not wrong. But that was just mild in compared to the amount of change, the amount of information, the amount of weirdness that is going to be condensed in this Aquarius season. I do want to talk about, and lucky for us, it's not the fuzzy sweaters on our teeth, but this time around, specifically this week, I think that we're going to have this metal taste. And that's the best way that I can explain it. And I hope that you understand what I mean when I say a metal taste. It just feels like we can taste metal in our mouths. And I'm not necessarily fully sure on why that is. I have a theory that I'm not quite certain about, but I'm going to share it with you anyways. Because of the electricity coming into our bodies and because the amount of metals that all of us have in our physical form, whether you're detoxing from heavy metals or not, when the electricity goes through our bodies trying to break up the energetic meridians and channels that of course have a lot of junk and gunk in them, of course the electricity is coursing through our bodies in such a way in order to illuminate what needs to be removed and purged out of our physical form. And so it just makes a little bit, this is where my theory is at, it just makes a little bit of sense that, you know, there's such a high level of vibration and frequency coursing through our bodies due to these new levels of electricity coming into this earth plane and into our physical bodies, that it's actually like mixing up, shaking up the fragments of the heavy metals that we all still have within us. And that's the reason of why we're kind of tasting that metal kind of taste. It is going to be gross. It is not going to taste good. You're not going to be able to drink or eat the things that you have been drinking or eating and say that they taste the same. Everything is going to taste off because of this metal taste in our mouths. And I honestly don't know that there's anything that we can do other than just like sit in it and ride it out. But I, for one, am not looking so forward to that because, of course, it's been hard to find food that we want to eat that our body doesn't want to reject anyways. I don't know about y'all, but I sit around for the majority of the day just trying to think about something that I could possibly put in my body that doesn't make me gag. And it's getting harder and harder, and I just can't imagine that it's going to get any easier to figure out what I can actually put in my body that I'm not going to gag over with a metal taste in my mouth. So I guess we all about to figure out and find out, probably the hard way, what that is going to be about as well. So guys, I'm just taking a little look-see at my list, and I feel like I have checked off all of the things that I wanted to talk about this week. Of course, let me just remind you that the normal, quote unquote, typical Ascension symptoms are still highly possible and probable, which of course, cold and flu, like, you know, feeling heavy, feeling achy, feeling all of those things in the physical body, that is just normal standard Ascension symptoms. So anything over and above that, of course, is due to the new energies coming in. Thus why I create the list that I do to kind of highlight the different shifting in some of the Ascension symptoms that we may not experience all the time and may not consider to be quote unquote normal. But what is normal these days, really? Anywho, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I want to thank you for the love and support. I want to thank you for showing up for me, but mostly I want to thank you for showing up for yourself. Of course, we are about to move through what is going to be a very mentally challenging, but also very mentally exciting time, I would say. And I just want you to keep your wits about you. Again, you have the most complex guidance tool and guidance system within you. And I'm really going to encourage you to double down on listening to how your physical body, your energy, your inner compass is responding to a lot of information that is going to be coming at us, not only this week, but throughout the whole course of Aquarius season. You got to trust your gut. I thank you for tuning in. I send you so much love, and we'll talk to you soon.